Good afternoon. We've got an Airbus here, not a U.S. Airways, but just a regular Airbus 320. Got my little designation on there, tail number 527 BC, which we won't get into. But we are going to reenact the day Sully became super famous. Sully Sullenberger. I used to call him Sullenberg, but it's Berger, Sullenberger. He's retired, and he was an advisor. He's probably still an advisor to one of the big stations, and he's a superhero, super pilot. So he took off one day and ran into some birds. I think they were Canada geese. So that's what we're simulating here. We're going to come up on the power, take the brakes off. They took off on runway 4. He was heading ultimately to Seattle with a stop in Atlanta. Get out of the way there, mister. Mister in the car. And we're coming up, and we'll see a white line over in the lower left corner. Come up. That's the flying speed with flaps down, so we can start rotating. And I'll pull back here so you can see it leave the ground. And gear up, and the flaps up. They wouldn't take them up quite as early as I do. I like to look at this with the airplane flying away from the runway. And we're on the wrong runway. The airplane goes under us. Anyway, they can't see us. They don't run into us. This is I guess you'd call it an autonomous. Okay, so left turn, and we head over toward the Hudson, which we can see off to the left. And we get up to about 3,500 feet. The flaps are up. And we don't want to get too high, because they only had, maybe he got to 4,000 feet. You can see the George Washington Bridge off to the left. How far he was out, I don't know. Oh, the engines. This says auto throttle, and I don't fly airliners all that much, but this thing has a thing called auto throttle. So the throttles have a mind of their own. We're coming down on the power here. We want to be up, say, around 3,000 feet. And okay, let's pretend we took a bird strike inside the engines, and he determined he couldn't go into. He probably didn't bank this far, and we'll try to keep it above 200. The final approach street for these airliners is their Teterboro. That was one of the options that he had, and he determined he wouldn't be able to make it to Teterboro. And they have a little field there. I'm going to put the flaps down, leave the wheels up, which he did. Flaps come down full, and you'll hear some noise. And he determined he couldn't make it back to LaGuardia, which is over in that direction. That's probably LaGuardia right down there. It's LaGuardia, out on that little island. So he determined he couldn't make it back there, and his only choice was the Hudson River. So we're going to come back and look to how this big old bird floated down into the Hudson. And I could have shut the engines off, but this is close enough to what actually took place. The engines are at zero thrust. You can see they say idle. Idle. It says 22%, but they're not producing enough thrust to make any difference. And we're at I don't know why it's saying overspeed, but we're coming down to 1,000. And we are going to get a look here to the side, and they leveled off. And when he hit the water, the engines dug in, but in this case the engines don't dig in, and we can't explain that, but this is what it would. It might even bounce, but I think the engines would dig in. What I saw on a replay is the engines dug in, and it kicked out a splash in front of the airplanes from the engines kicking in. And anyway, the engines would have been below the water. The wings floated because they were not entirely full of fuel, and the nose sat down on the water, and people were able, through the escape hatches, were able to get out on the wing, and the ferry boats came and picked them up. So that's your story. There's the George Washington Bridge in the background, and whether we're at Beam Central Park, I'm not sure exactly where we are. Somebody from the city could tell you that. There's the World Trade Center. So we're up, maybe adjacent to Central Park. Approximate location doesn't matter how far up or down the river we might be. Look at the engines are still running, which the engines were not running. Total. I think they call it a flame out when the engines stop in a jet. Okay, that's your rerun of Sully's famous landing. Thanks for watching. Bye.